Welcome to The Explainer, where we're breaking down the incredible story of a rugby league superstar who flew so high he was basically untouchable and then crashed so hard his career was all but over. This is the amazing comeback story of Anthony Minichiello.
Alright, just picture this for a second. You're 28 years old, you're a superstar, you're at the absolute top of your game, and a doctor sits you down, looks at your scans, and delivers that chilling verdict about your spine. To really understand how Anthony Minichiello even got to that point, we've got to go right back to the beginning.
So, he starts out as the son of Italian immigrants, a pretty shy kid from southwest Sydney. But he had a secret weapon. His background was in gymnastics, and that gave him this incredible core stability, this unique athletic base that, well, it turned out to be a total game changer in the rough-and-tumble world of rugby league.
And man, his rise was just meteoric. He gets signed as a teenager, makes his debut at 20, and just 2 years after that, he's a premiership winner. He very quickly became the cornerstone of the Sydney Roosters, the club he would, in his own words, bleed red, white, and blue for.
So how does a legend get a nickname like that? Well, his crazy, acrobatic style on the field got a fan so excited they wrote into a newspaper comparing him to an Italian mountain cat. A teammate saw it, read it out loud in the locker room, and just like that, it stuck. For his entire career. By the time the mid-2000s rolled around, Minichiello wasn't just a star anymore. No, he had completely transformed himself into the best fullback on the planet. And this kicked off an almost unbelievable run of personal success.
2005 was the absolute pinnacle. He won the Golden Boot for the world's best player, he won the Wally Lewis Medal for being the best player in the brutal State of Origin series, and he was named best player on the Great Britain Tour. It was a complete and total clean sweep of the sport's biggest individual awards.
And the team's culture off the field? Yeah, that was just as intense. Their motto was simple: play hard, party hard. And nothing summed that up better than the infamous House of Grouse. This team house in Bondi, where the end-of-season parties would kick off with a full DJ setup at 6 in the morning.
But, underneath all that success and celebration, his body was sending out some serious warning signs. He admitted later he was just masking the chronic pain with a cocktail of anti-inflammatories and painkillers, basically ignoring the fire that was building up inside him. And then, it all came crashing down. That fire he'd been ignoring, it finally erupted. His body just started to break down in a way that didn't just threaten his career, it threatened his long-term health.
And we're not talking about a few small niggles here. Between 2006 and 2009, it was a relentless cascade of just horrific injuries. A ruptured disc in his back, a terrifying disc bulge in his neck that was just 1 millimeter away from his spinal cord, a completely shredded ankle. He even developed a stomach ulcer from all the pills he was taking.
The scans finally revealed the root cause. His spinal discs, right? They're supposed to be these white, watery cushions that act as shock absorbers. His were black, totally dehydrated, brittle, and they were just failing.
So when the medical experts saw those scans, they gave him the starkest advice you can imagine. This wasn't about footy anymore. This was about his quality of life. The message was loud and clear. You have to walk away from the game you love, right now. But for Mini, no way. Retirement just wasn't an option. On the very brink of collapse, he made a choice. He decided not to give up, but to tear everything down and completely rebuild his body and his entire approach to being an athlete.
And this was a huge turning point, prompted by his wife. His whole philosophy just flipped. Instead of masking pain, he started digging for the root cause. He swapped the pills for anti-inflammatory foods like turmeric and ginger. He ditched the standard heavy gym work for functional movements designed to rehydrate his spine. Recovery became his new obsession.
This total transformation, you better believe it didn't go unnoticed. In 2013, the Roosters' new coach, Trent Robinson, saw this rebuilt athlete, and more importantly, he saw this incredibly resilient leader. In a huge moment, he pulls Minichiello into his office and says, "I want you to be the captain." And boy, did that decision pay off. It all led to one of the most famous grand final victories in modern history. They're down by 10 points with only 20 minutes to go. It looks over. Captain Minichiello pulls his team into a huddle, reminds them of their goal to be a second-half team, and they stormed home to win. When he lifted that trophy, his redemption was complete.
But that incredible victory, that wasn't even the end of the story. No, this was just the stepping stone to cementing his legacy as an all-time club legend.
The very next season, he broke the record for the most games ever played for the Roosters.
Just think about that. The guy who was told he should never play a contact sport again finished his career with an unbelievable 302 games.
After he finally retired in 2014, he defied the odds again by making a successful transition to the next chapter. He founded his own business, MiniFit, taking all those hard-won lessons from his recovery to build a new life for himself and for his family.
And Mini's journey really makes you ask the question, what's the greatest victory? Is it lifting the trophy, or is it the brutal, lonely fight just to be able to play again? His story shows us that sometimes the most profound triumphs aren't measured in awards, but in the sheer resilience it takes to overcome the impossible.